Welcome back. That's episode 2 of Double X Download. Here with Todd Titus, the Sportsman track champion from the Afton Motorsports Park this year. And as always, my partner in crime, Brad Weaver, is over to this side here.
Are you playing that back on your... You are. That's what's making all the
Sorry
noise.
about that. I just make sure we're actually working this time we're on the right channel and everything. But yeah, welcome back. Just got to thank our sponsors this week, Iron Ring Studios, Weaver Racing, Champion Cartway, AG Video, and I'm sure there's more that I'm missing. But yeah, if you're interested in partnering with us and maybe sponsoring an episode, just shoot us a message and we'll hook you right up, get you some exposure, and we're getting a pretty good following on here. So yeah, we got Todd. So you had a pretty good year this year, huh, Todd?
Yeah, it was a really good year. I just want to say thank you to you guys for having me on here, and yeah, it was a great year.
That's good. How many wins did you end up with this year? I know it's that great Sportsman class over to Afton was really tight. I know a lot of different winners over there.
Yeah, we were able to win 2 races. We were real consistent all year. You know, if we had a problem, we were real good as a team about addressing the situation and coming back stronger. And I think that obviously showed in taking the championship. You don't have to win all the races, but I think it's very important to finish them all and do all the laps and take good notes. So next week when you unload, you're that much better and prepared.
Yeah, it's definitely what it takes to win championships. I know you've been racing for a long time. You actually, Todd's a good example of why these tracks need to focus on their entry-level classes. You started out in the 4-cylinder. Were you in the kitty cat class or were you in the 4-cylinder novice class when you started?
Yeah, so that was thanks to Andy Harpel. He had kind of come up with a way to get the kids involved. I think he kind of seen that the future was coming, and the 4-cylinder was a great entry class at the time. You could invest in a car relatively inexpensively, and yeah, it was pretty cool. It was, Tanner, Tucker, Brian Batesel. There was a good... Kyle Pierce was in on that. Doug Stack Jr. I mean, it's really cool that we came from that, and really every one of us was really successful. So just want to say thank you to Andy for, giving us that stepping stone and that opportunity.
Yeah, that right there is it just proves that these classes are a lot of tracks. I feel like a lot of tracks seem to forget that a lot of the drivers in the upper classes did start out down in the more entry level classes. It's kind of been one of my pet peeves for years is tracks kind of forgetting where these drivers do come from. But that right there is proof that these classes do produce champions. So.
Yeah, absolutely. An entry-level class, you learn the basics, as far as racing goes and racing etiquette and taking care of your equipment and, all that stuff is very, very important to work on your stuff, make sure it's ready to go, make sure it's going to last, your car's put together, it's not going to fall apart. And, growing up in a racing family, that's something that I'm very thankful for and very fortunate for, having my father who's been involved in racing a long time, and I have him kind of overlooking what I'm doing and, hey, maybe that's not the way we approach it. Maybe we go about it this way. So, I've been fortunate as to other people who maybe did not have that, involvement in their life and growing up where I did.
Yeah, did you ever get opportunities to sit in a dwarf car when you were little?
No, I really don't. I have very vague memories of that, of my grandfather taking me to the races, and but I do remember his open sportsman stuff quite well. That stuff really stuck with me. I was about 8 years old when I started going in the pits with him every week, and back then we were kind of, all his help kind of had left, and within a year or two it was basically just him and me. And at 8 years old it's pretty much just him, and just basically hoping when he goes to line up in the track I wouldn't do nothing stupid, and he taught me right from wrong and all that stuff. So yeah, it was just a great experience, him and I, and a lot of bonding over the years. So.
Yeah, making a lot of memories.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit more, Todd, about what your plans are for next year, moving forward, and some of the recent help that you've gotten lately with Chris, and tell us a little bit more about your organization, what you've got going on there.
Yeah, so Chris, Chris Ostrowski, those of you who don't know him, he owns his own construction company. He's in the Binghamton area, and he's just a really busy man. He's a business owner, and just a lot of times when you're an owner of a business, you don't have time to do the hobby stuff, the stuff you love, and that's kind of my thing. I have a lot of time, and financially, I'm not as well off as I would like to be, and some of the other competitors. So you kind of dig down deep and kind of make up for the lack of financial funds that you have by working hard. So I'm just very thankful. Chris really took good care of me and my father. In exchange, we had the car ready for him all the time, and knock on wood, we didn't have a single mechanical failure. The car showed up, stayed together. Chris did all the laps, didn't have a single DNF. So I'm really proud of that he can show up and he can, put his effort and his time into his business. And, he knows that, the guys at the shop are working hard and taking care of the stuff. And, I'm very fortunate and very lucky for the situation that I'm in and that my dad's in. And Chris has a beautiful state-of-the-art shop, and I just love it in there. Just the heat and, well, Brad, when you would mount my bodies coming over to my dad's garage, and we used a little propane heater to heat the shop up, and it would take a couple hours just to take the chill off, and just the little stuff like that, as far as the preparation goes and getting your program ready for next year. We're just that much further ahead. And, just to touch base on next year, I would like to go to Skyline next year in 2024, but I really want to do something. I really want to race 2 nights a week. I don't have a preference. I'll go anywhere. If there's somebody out there looking to team up, get a hold of me. There's I'm sure we can work something out. I don't want to wear out my own equipment racing it 2 nights a week. I think it would just help me as a driver to sharpen my skills to just be in the seat more, So yeah, that's something I'd really like to do is just race a lot more this year. Last year we really focused on Afton and making sure our stuff was up to par when we unloaded, and I think we did a great job at that. And the points racing is really stressful, and after winning the championship, I would really kind of like to just focus on maybe winning more races and just doing more racing, and that's really what I'd like to focus on for next year.
Well, it sounds like you've already gotten somebody to help partner up with, and it sounds like the guy that you should be looking to get in the seat with is Chris for sure. I don't know. We got Brandon's got all kinds of problems he's going on. Well, that ought to lighten the mood up. So, what have you been doing in the off season, Todd? What's take us through your holiday and what have you been up to?
Yeah, we've been getting after it. Just getting the car stripped down, down to a bare frame, get the frame sanded, get it repainted, get all the stuff sent out. Everybody at this time of year is getting their stuff, their transmission, their rear ends, their steering boxes sent out. So my goal is to beat all those people, on and off the track. I want my stuff ahead of you in line so I can get it back and get my car done. And I just don't like to be the guy stressing last minute to assemble my car. And Mike Holston years ago told my father, get your car done in the wintertime so when springtime comes, you're not burnt out before the season even starts, because it can make for a really long year. And, just make sure you're ready, make sure you're prepared, make sure your stuff's ready to go. And I don't like the part failures. I don't like not finishing races. And, we really pride ourselves on taking care of the equipment that we have and just making the most of what you do have,
So you mean to tell me that changing the oil on April 1st and saying we're ready to go ain't the way to do it?
If I'm racing against you, that's fine. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm taking care of my stuff better. But no, just take care of your stuff, making sure it lasts. Everything costs so much money now. It's just very, very important to make sure you can
maintain it.
Yeah, get the most out of what you have.
Yep.
So, Brandon,
yeah,
you know a little bit about maintenance. No, he doesn't know so much about maintenance. Todd, just a fun little story.
Oh boy.
So, we're at PennCan, all unloaded. I'm a little early. I have some time.
Listen.
No.
No, listen. Some stories don't need to be told. I'm guessing this is probably one of them.
Well, I think this was one that should definitely people should hear. Anyway, needless to
I will
say,
take my cameras and leave.
needless to say, we didn't race that night, did we, Brandon?
That was a lot of nights. Which one are we talking about?
You know, that's part of racing, though. I think every night, every experience is a good or bad one. And I think it's very important to just, make the most of what you learn, even if it's negative, just to make sure it never happens again. Nobody's perfect. I'm sure there's stuff I do wrong too, as far as that goes. But you just shooting yourself in the foot and just costing yourself more money is just stuff that's taken away from tires or a new motor or maybe it's a new car or whatever. Just do whatever you can to take care of what you got to make it last the longest.
The worst part about this, I don't even know which night he's talking about. There were so many.
Brandon, I really tried to wrap this up and make this a positive thing. I was hoping we could move on from this story.
Okay, all right. So it was the years that Brandon was racing the sprint car, and I don't think he finished many races that year.
Wasn't many. Nope.
But somehow he still managed to win a championship. So there's your positive.
I was
moving
consistently there. Sometimes being present is enough.
But honestly, Todd, Brandon does have one thing over us that we don't have, and that he drove a sprint car, winged and wingless. So there's a little bit of Brandon Clapperton history for you. Not only has he just drove one, he's also won with one. So
I have a jacket that says Wingless Sprint Track Champion, so put that from PennCan Speedway.
Didn't you win at 5 Mile too?
No.
Championship? I thought they had a little series.
They had the Summer
won.
Slam Series. No, I didn't win it. No, Eric Jennings and Thomas Radboy were there every week too.
Oh,
so
okay.
I wasn't in the same league as those guys.
Lap traffic.
Yeah, I was the heat race lap traffic. But,
Well, tell us a little bit about your feelings on what's going on with the Southern Tier this year, and what do we expect to see out of some of these tracks as far as racing wise. I know PennCan just had their banquet. They're talking about doing some upgrades to the facility and whatnot. I don't know how long you've been to PennCan.
I made it down to PennCan a couple times last year, but with Champion running the same night as PennCan usually, I don't get too many chances to get there. No, I think this has been the craziest silly season that we've seen in the Southern Tier. With just changing promotional teams at Afton. 5 Mile Point is done, safe to say. Somewhat change the promotional team at Skyline. I think Brad's still up there, still involved, but Ronnie's headed up to Skyline, bringing the modified. I think that's the most exciting thing of the whole is modifieds at Skyline on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool.
I agree with that. Skyline's one of those really neat tracks that's kind of like back out of the way. Little tiny bull ring. I don't know how many people that have watched have gone to like a Dunhill or a Red Line type of racetrack, but that's kind of like your Skyline type deal.
We call it a low tech speedway.
Yeah, but it's an awfully neat track. It's tight. It's technical. I know Todd's raced there before. He's gotten some wins there.
I've raced there, sucked ass every time.
It's definitely one of those tracks that could really put on some interesting shows.
Oh yeah, the racing always
modifieds.
there is phenomenal. That's one thing is every time I've been up there, people can say what they want about the track, about the everything, the history up there and stuff like that, but the racing has always been phenomenal. And the IMCA modifieds up there, in all these classes that you normally see, most tracks are running on the bottom, and these guys are running. You got guys that are scraping the right rear off the wall.
Yeah, and you got guys on the bottom too.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's 3 lanes. I think it's gonna be a phenomenal modified track. I think they're gonna need to put up more bleachers. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I hope they can expand the facility so they have enough parking spaces. The pit space is a little tight there, but
yeah.
I remember back in the day, my dad telling me stories about how they used to have a couple mod specials back in the day. When he was younger or whatever, and then I've only ever seen one modified race at Skyline, and all I can remember, I can't remember who won exactly. I think it might have been.
I think Creedon won.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it might have been Creedon. I think he was probably in about 12 of 23 accidents in that race. He still won the race, and I remember Danny Johnson leading with like a couple to go, and some lap car just took him right out. So I mean, it was definitely one of those exciting races that I think that you could potentially see every week at Skyline.
Skyline definitely potential is there. For some excitement up there.
Yeah, you've ran Skyline a number of times, Todd. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your experiences up there, and maybe any good memories?
Yeah, we won some races up there. We won a couple grit races there when Dick and Nick Stark were involved, and that was a great deal. I've gotten to know Frank Payne really well over the last couple of years, and have a lot of respect for him and his family, and I think they did a great job. When Brad took it over, he kind of went to Fridays, and Afton at the time was on Fridays, so I really didn't get up there too much in the last couple of years, but I know Ronnie and his guys will do great things. And just to touch on the Southern Tier, I think Brandon touched on it saying it was silly season, but I think the only negative thing of the off season is losing 5 Mile. I think the Spoon Hours will do great things at Afton with their combination from them and Thunder, and I know Ronnie will do great things up the Skyline. And I know they're kind of partnering with Pencan with the rules, so I think I hope everybody does really well. I hope all the tracks are thriving. I hope they have tons of cars and tons of people, and I just I wish we could race at all of them. It's just unfortunate to lose 5 Mile. That was a place, Brad, I watched your dad win tons of races there as well as every other track in the Southern Tier. I got to know you very well, and that was just a really family-oriented deal, it just sucks to see it go, and just thankful for all the memories and thankful for all the promoters that do this because, they certainly don't do it for the financial part. They do it because they love the sport just like we love the sport, and they work really hard at it just like we work really hard at it. So just want to thank everybody involved with all the tracks, and just looking forward to the warm weather and going racing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, winter's barely set in yet. It's cold today, but I'm looking forward to. I really don't get too many chances to get to the big tracks anymore. But next year, especially I think having to the 2 Hoosier tracks, having a Hoosier Friday night track, Hoosier Saturday night track, I think it's gonna be good for both of those. And I think having an American Racer Friday night track, American Racer Saturday night track, I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be good for racing for both partners, sister tracks or sets of sister tracks. I think the potential's there for one heck of a race season. For all 4 of the tracks.
Todd, you got anything specific, any special shows in mind that are out there right now? I know the Deo Tours coming up or whatever, they've got their schedule out. Is there any possible chances of following that for you at all this year?
I would say realistically no, just with my work schedule. I know they do a lot of weekday stuff, and nothing personal against Brett Deo. I think, again, another great promoter that's great for the sport. Just being a small team from the Southern Tier, I kind of more focus on, I'd like to go somewhere new, somewhere that, is outside the realm for me, and kind of get your feet wet there and just hit a new track. And I think for me that's Outlaw. I think they make it very lucrative for the Sportsman. I think they have a lot of good paying shows. I think Tyler Series doing a great job up there, and I think Outlaw was a little bit rougher in the past, but I think within the last couple of years, he's really, really getting the surface down, and I'd really like to get out there.
You never raced Outlaw at all? Not once?
No, I never have. Being in the Southern Tier, we have 5 tracks within an hour of us, up until this year losing 5 miles. So I just really tried to stay close to home and hit all those tracks. So, I think it's time to slowly get out there and, maybe sometime we'll get up to Utica Rome on a bigger track and, kind of get our feet wet with that too. But we'll just have to see. We'll have to play by ear and just see how it goes.
Todd's got a straightforward, pretty much just a, this is how it is.
I just don't want to fumble or, just, I don't know, blabber off and ums and uhs, and I'm not sure.
Okay, so everyone's got a funny story. Everyone's got a funny race memory or funny something that happened in the pits, on the track, something like that. What is yours?
Oh, geez. So is this like me personally or
No,
something?
It doesn't matter.
We're trying to have a little bit of fun here, Todd.
We're trying to break it down.
You've been just way too,
intense.
Yeah, you're like, just like, relax a little bit. Just have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to have fun. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to think of something.
I can just tell you're like super focused. You're like intent. You're in the wheel right now.
I feel like I'm racing.
That's what I'm saying. We don't want it to be like that, Todd.
I'm sorry. Gee, I really.
Well, I could tell you this one story. We're going up to Fresh Chassis Fab. We're riding with Todd.
Oh man, this story.
I've heard this
I better tell a story.
You want me to tell this story, Todd, or no? Or do you want to tell it?
So it was a winter day before Christmas. I was slow at work or something. Something happened where I was palling around with Brad, and I think we were doing something with we're building a body for my car, and it was up to Brad's house, and we had to run over to Doug Palamas' house, and it's kind of a back roads deal on the back roads of Windsor to get over to Doug's, and we're on a narrow, icy, snowy road, and I had a Chevy Cruze at the time, and rather than pulling in the driveway and doing your normal K-turn that you should do when you turn around, I thought, I could just pull the e-brake here.
Mr. Race Car Driver.
Sure. Yeah, so you think Weaver, right? Mr. Encouragement? Nope, this guy, I wouldn't do that. So that's all it took for me. Well, watch this, dude. I'm going to do it. And I did it, and, the right rear was in the ditch, and the left front was hanging out of the ditch about a foot. And, of course, we're on the back roads of Windsor, so that means no cell phone service. So we flagged down a mailman who was driving a Ford
Bronco or something like
Ford
that.
Escape, I think it was, who happened to have a rope in the back and roped us out like it was 1988 or something.
I wonder if that was my brother-in-law. He delivers mail out there.
I don't know. But give him a hug for me, because he saved me a tow bill and a lot of stupidity. So Brad was right on that, and I definitely should have listened.
I told him not to do it. I said.
Not do that.
Sure. But he also followed it up with, I did that to Stephen Cole's car, I believe. So I do believe that, Brad.
Okay, so here's my story. I didn't do it to Stephen Cole's car. I did it to my own car.
Oh, okay. Was Stephen with you? I don't know why.
Yeah, Stephen was with me.
Yep.
Now, of course, we're still doing racing stuff with our racing friends. We went to it's Radio Hill RC track in Dundee, New York. We went up there to go race some RC cars. And I don't know, and there's a big downhill dirt road that comes like from the track down to the main road and Dundee there off 14. And it was nice and wide, and it was kind of fun to pull the e-brake and whip it side to side. I got a little bit too ballsy and a little bit too overconfident on the third or fourth whip, and let's just say that I was no Ken Block by any means. We went just do-si-doing around the.
You were walking around the block trying to find a ride.
Yeah, and we were in the ditch for a while. I ended up having to hike my butt up the back to the hill to find a track or find somebody with a truck at the RC track. Yank me, same deal. So there you go, folks. Who aren't race car drivers, we do put it in the ditch every now and again.
I've never done anything stupid like that.
I doubt that.
Never.
Where's your fun story? I got one I could tell you about at one night at PennCam, if you want to go there again.
Oh, fun. Let me see. Funny. You know, this is one of those things, if I'm not thinking about it, I can just throw. I know me and you have talked for days about all the funny stories. We sat there for hours. I'm just trying to.
I know. I wish we recorded it then.
Yeah, if we recorded that, we just hit play.
Right.
God, I'm trying to think.
I miss the spectator stuff, man. When them guys would get out there and just beat the crap out of their street vehicles, like,
Oh,
dude, how are you gonna get home? You drove this to the track.
Okay, all right. So, it wasn't even as well as flagging. We did a Thunder Mountain. We did a bag race.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, basically, there's two people in a car. So you take your street vehicles out there, put helmets on, put a paper bag over the driver's head, and backseat, or I think backseat or right side passenger, left, whatever passenger directs you. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was one of the green boys absolutely blasted a Uke tire. Like, I can't believe it didn't sit there. I mean, just head on, and we're just rolling. I can't remember who it might have been. I think maybe Jason Rhodes might have been riding with him. I can't remember. It seems like that. I tried the bag race once.
Were you the passenger or were you the driver?
No, I think I was driving, but I think it was Matt Anthony's it was like a Blazer or something, and I don't even know if it was running. Like, I remember hitting the gas and it was like like, he drove it. He lived in Afton. He drove it all the way up to Thunder Mountain, and I can't believe it made the driveway. Needless to say, we didn't win. And that is absolutely, if you haven't done that before, if you haven't driven in a circle, in a racetrack, it's way different in the dust when you can't see where you're going than it is when you actually can't see where you're going, and you have no muscle memory because you're not actually going that fast. Like, going slow screws you up because you don't know where you're at. It probably would have been better if it was faster, but it wasn't good. It did not win that one.
So you should have stepped on the gas a little harder.
Oh, I couldn't step on it any harder. I mean, it was foot to the floor, but it was like, man, we need a good downhill slope and a tailwind. We're gonna get this thing up to 30.
That was a Rolls Canardly. Rolls off the trailer, can hardly make it on the racetrack.
That's it reminds me of your neighbors. A lot of the race cars that they've had.
I don't have any neighbors. I live by myself out in the woods. There's no 50 miles around. There's no neighbors. No neighbors. Shoot. So, we've had some good times growing up here, watching things happen at 5 Mile and PennCam and Thunder Mountain and Afton. I know Brandon's a big time Afton guy. Tell us some of your memories, some of your fonder memories of Afton when you were a kid.
Oh man, I used to sit in the same spot every week. If you walked underneath the tower, you make the right, go up to the top of the bleachers, sit there every week, and sit there with my cousin. My cousin Mike's wife Lisa and his son Dennis, who's winning modified races now. But underneath there, I used to have the picture booth, and I think it was Cheryl Goodrich, I believe, was selling like Matchbox cars and flag sets and stuff like that. I just remember running around there making all sorts of friends, like Tom Cornell. Me and Tom used to run around there, and Buck Mills Jr. was one of them. He'd be running around down there with us. We were all 12, 13, 14 years old before any of us were racing. The crash videos and the VHS
honestly,
tapes. I think it was Mel Thomas was doing the videos.
Yes,
then.
Mel Thomas did the videos.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I miss around now. Like, we don't have it now, are the crash tapes. The smash and crash videos. If there's anybody out there that does video at the racetracks, you guys gotta put a smash and crash tape together. You really do. We miss those.
I'm sure they sell, because let's be honest with you, a lot of the reason that racing is so exciting is because there's an element of danger to it. If nobody wrecked, there'd be no danger, and I don't think racing would be as exciting as it is. And when things go bad, people want to see it go bad. Like, it's like, oh, I'm glad I didn't see that wreck. And I mean, he was all right. There was a lot of money and damage. And I heard it was wild. Like, that dude took down the catch fence. And so every week, if there was a bad wreck, I was buying a Thomas video the next week. Like, if there was, I remember, back, speaking of dwarf cars, big pile up on the front stretch. They started wadding them up in Louis Gordonier and Gordy Aisha both flipped down the front stretch. I think Gordy ended up like stuck up in the fence, and Gordy was on his roof on top of the banking in turn one. I bought that video. And there's one week dwarf cars were good at putting on pretty spectacular. I think it was Chick Chandler barrel rolled over like 8 or 9 times down the front stretch.
No kidding.
But it was wild. It was like right at the finish too, like half the tires, boom, 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 like seems to go like a bowling ball, like nothing to slow him down. But
do you remember the big wreck? Like, this is like 2003. Afton was big. It was dirt sanctioned.
Yep.
Like Bob Ham and Kevin Jordan got into a really bad wreck.
Yeah,
remember that one?
I didn't see it happen, but I remember when it happened. Yeah, it was a Super Dirt Series race. It was wound up coming out of turn 2. Didn't Kevin go to the hospital on that one?
I can't remember. I just remember. I know my dad went and looked at Bob's car the next day because it was just, man, it was really bad.
Bob's car was bad. I remember. I think it was Kevin's car. The cage was like, I mean, it wasn't completely apart. But like I remember the tubes. I'm not real good with the cage terminology, but the tubes that go from like the main 4-post forward. I think I remember seeing were sheared off.
I think they call that the mid-rail.
Yeah, mid-rail. That's the word I was looking for.
Mid-rail.
But and I think it was later the same year. Bob Ham took a cartwheel down the front stretch.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he was. I think he might have flipped like 4 times that year between there and 5 Mile Point. I think he flipped at 5 Mile Point at least once or twice that year too. He could have made his own highlight reel that year.
Didn't Bob Ham and Sean Walker get into it once at Afton too?
About 10 years after that, yeah, about 2011, 2012, racing for the lead with a couple to go, I think. I can't say because I don't remember, but I know contact was made. And
it wasn't like a big, nasty end over end tumbling wreck a lot of stuff, but it was definitely one of those exciting ones that you weren't expecting.
The ones you felt from the grandstands.
Oh man, let me tell you, there was. I don't know, Todd, if you have too many memories of the spectacular at Pencan, and it used to be 100 laps for the modifieds. And there used to be some pretty nasty ones. Like, I remember this one year just really bad with George Konstelansky. There was a pile up of them. I can't remember who all was in it. But it was, like you said, Brandon, one of those ones you could feel it from the grandstands. You heard every bit of metal crunching. Like, engines are off and there's still smash, crash, bang, like cars sliding into it, and you could definitely feel them from the stands.
Was that the one where he ended up, where Kostelansky ended up upside down, like fuel was pouring down his breather or something like that, his helmet?
This
was like 25 years ago. I remember.
Yeah, this was quite a while ago.
Hearing about it.
I was young and probably not allowed in the pits at the time.
Yeah, it would have been.
So it was, I sat right there in turn 1, and that's where the wreck happened.
Yeah, I think
that was a bad one that I can remember for sure. At different places. I know my dad's been in some bad ones everywhere.
He had a bad one at Weedsport, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. That throttle stuck. This was like 99, 2000, somewhere in there. Throttle stuck going down the back stretch, and he just went off the end at turn 3 and 4, where the pits are now. Basically, the big grandstands off of turns 3 and 4 there, where the pit stands are now. It was all cornfield back then. He was in the hospital for that one.
That sucks.
There was nothing, and it sucked too because I remember, I didn't live with my dad at the time or whatever, so I was coming up from New Jersey with my mom, and we were supposed to go to Canada to go race that weekend, and I was going to go with him to Canada. And it wasn't happening.
That canceled.
Yeah, it was I think it was like a Wednesday, Thursday, or maybe like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday type Canadian swing, and yeah, that canceled the trip. So I mean, I was obviously bummed that he was hurt, but
sure,
bummed that we couldn't go racing still.
So
and
of course, Dad, but
yeah, and of course the the car was destroyed, and obviously we're not one of those, teams that had enough money to, we're like the normal Southern tier team. We got one car and maybe if we're lucky a couple motors. And I mean, I really believe at the time my dad was racing, Saturday nights and then pulling whatever they had motor out Saturday night, throwing a big block in on Sundays just to go race, after they were done racing Saturday, change the motors, then go to Weed Sport on Sundays to race that. So
I have a hard time convincing myself to change a go-kart motor during the week. That's
well,
like 4 bolts and a wire.
That's kind of the mentality of us crazy racers. I'm sure Todd understands. I'm sure he's done a few motor swaps night before the race or whatever, things that you got to do to make it happen. Sometimes you get in that bind, like you race a Friday night and something happens Friday and you got to race Saturday.
Yeah.
You pull stuff out of your rear end to come up with what you need to go racing. Yeah. So there's a memory right there. Sprint car. We talk about changing motors overnight. Sprint car, for some reason, I just wouldn't give it up. And no, I blew an engine at Penn Can one night. It was racing 5 Mile Point the next night, and the motor it welded itself together. And I'm loaded up, and Dan Morden was down there. Dan helped me out so much with the sprint car.
He's a great guy.
He is one of the best people in the sport, as far as for the sport, and he's such a good dude. But I blew the engine Friday night, and I didn't have any more engines, and I wasn't about to buy any more because I'd been through like 5 in 5 weeks or something. They weren't, in my defense, I was trying an LS. I was experimenting with LS motors, and I still believe the potential's there for somebody that knows what they're doing. That's not me. But basically what I was doing was I was taking junkyard LS motors, swapping the cams out, swap the oil pans, and switching them over to carburation, throwing them back in throw a new one in the car. So if something went wrong, basically every time something went wrong, I lost an engine. I figured out why I lost the engine. Okay, well, don't do that again. One week it was like the pickup tube for the oil. I didn't have the O-ring on it. I thought I did because the way
I can remember talking to Brandon at this time, being like, I was racing Penn Can too, so it was like texting him during the week. What happened this week? I think I got it figured out. And we show up the next week, and I don't even.
It was always something else. That was the problem. Yeah. It wasn't the same problem week to week. It was just one thing pushed. Like I had, there was one that the pickup tube was sitting. It was the oil pickup tube was sitting cockeyed. I didn't realize it. And when the pan was full of oil, it was great. So go out there, go slow, no problem. As soon as you hit the gas, start moving the oil around, it drop the oil pressure, spin the bearings in no time before you even realize the oil pressure dropped. And I can't remember what it was. It was one time I missed the O-ring on it because the pickup tube it's formed and it looks like it has an O-ring on it. When you're in a hurry, it's easy to miss things. And so this is after all
right, let's finish the story because Todd's getting tired of hearing.
He's getting a headache.
Todd's getting a headache over there of all these maintenance problems. He's like, Jesus Christ, I would quit. I'd quit racing.
No, I didn't say nothing.
No, so they're not racing big cars anymore.
You're trying to be polite. It's good.
No. I
didn't
say nothing.
So we had I'd lost an engine and Dan's like. He goes, well, go home and change engines. I don't have another engine. He goes, I got one. I was like, okay, but you're in Nicholson, PA. It's 11 o'clock at night. Gates open at 3 o'clock tomorrow. I still got to get the engine out. Got to swap the oil pan, and
just get it out. Get it done. Get over here.
Shut up for a second, Jesus. But so.
Are you two married?
We can.
Might as well be. Jesus. I understand why Kara wants to beat you.
Well, she likes to beat me for other reasons. But
you just keep that to you. So he's like, he goes, I got another one. He goes, it's still got all. He goes, I got to strip it down. So I still got wiring harness on it and stuff like that. And He goes, but you go home, get that engine out, and then get over to my house first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll get it swapped out for you. Go back, get in the car, you can race tomorrow night. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm in. Okay, fine. Somebody's offering you a free motor, basically. You're gonna take it and go. And
Sure.
So I went home and like, by the time I got loaded up and all this stuff and got home and started working on the engines like 2 a.m, had it out. 20 minutes later, however long it takes to pull a sprint car engine. And of course, then from there, I had to, I was going to swap the cam, I had to pull the cam out of it. The cam was okay, pull the oil pan off it, pull the intake, get all the parts stripped off, all the front end. I had to, the cylinder heads, the other thing is the way the cooling system worked. Like you had to drill and tap the cylinder heads for the water lines, for the sprint car fuel, or the sprint car cooling system. And so it's a fair bit of work. So I had to get all that stuff taken apart. So it's like 3:30 in the morning before I go to bed. Wake up like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, jump in my work van because that was the only vehicle I had, and that's not ideal for trying to load a motor in the back of, but that's what I had. So jump in, drive down to like the hour and 40 minutes down to Nicholson. And I get down there, and he's got paying customers that he's working. So this engine is sitting there. It's on his skid steer, and so it's still got to be completely stripped down. We messed with it I had to strip it down, pressure wash it. We had a problem with the harmonic balance. So I get it down, get it back, and get back to my house at like 2:30 in the afternoon. Gates open at 3. Get it bolted in and get to the track. The only thing was the throttle links. Needed different throttle links. Call Dan up. He's gonna meet me at the track with throttle links. No big deal. I get down the track. Dan gets there as hot laps are pulling on the track, and missed hot laps because we still had to hook it up. And as soon as hot laps were over, pushed it through, fired it off, got it running, and then it poured and rained out.
Brandon, we wasted about 15 minutes on that story for a rain out. I mean, you wasted about 12 hours working on your race car.
That's the dedication, though. He went weeks. You didn't even want to hear 1 week of a story, you know?
No, that was one night.
Right, that's what I mean. He did that for weeks.
That's true. That's true. He did that for weeks and weeks.
You gotta respect the dedication.
Absolutely, you do. I don't think...
I appreciate that, Todd.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't think Brandon's feeling too good about me right now.
What's the next subject?
I don't know. What else do we got?
So, back to,
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is what I was hoping for. Todd to come in with some stuff.
Back to, like, the last minute, like, spend all night to work on the car, is like 2011, and the ROC Sportsman series was going to New Egypt. And actually, Brad, you come over and helped, and I can't remember what you did. Brought us some fuel or something, but we had borrowed a motor from Jerry Truman. My father did. I was just helping him at the time, and we somehow narrowed it down to we had a fuel problem, and we had water in the fuel. And this was probably 10 o'clock at night we had discovered this, and we had to leave the next morning by like 4 o'clock in the morning. And my dad's like, what do we do? And it was just, we were this far along, the car's ready to go. I mean, it was scaled, and it wouldn't run. And I just said, we're this far along, we're not going to give up on it now. So we pulled the deck lid off, drained the fuel cell out, and got it all back together, got different fuel in there, got it running right. And I think I went to bed for an hour before we went to New Egypt. And, just back to the dedication thing, You're that far along, you've invested all your time and the money, and, you want to go have the fun. And, you look back and scratch your head and wonder why you do it. But, it's the addiction to the sport, and, you do it because you love it.
That was the Open Sportsman, right? That was an ROC race?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your dad did all right in that one.
Yeah, so he had won the heat race, and he started 7th, and somebody spun him out in the first corner. So he went back to 29th, got up to 7th, and Rocco Leone stuffed him in the fence, and we had to put like a front clip on the car.
Oh, shoot. He was doing all right.
Yeah, he was doing good.
I thought he did all right.
Yeah, so... But just the weird stories you remember. I can remember another time Dad got in a wreck with Chad Cook at Thunder Mountain, and I can remember waking up the next day and going outside, and there's George Konstalansky and Sean Mills, working on my dad's stuff, and I know at the time they were both going up to Thunder Mountain and racing their own cars, and I'm pretty sure both of them had ran Pencan at the time, but that was just part of the, the camaraderie and, helping your buddy out, and, just really appreciative, and just some of the stuff you don't forget, and the friendships you make, and just really cool, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So to add some more rain out unfortunate stories to the mix, I have my own. I worked all night on a car and trying to slam it all together to only to get rained out. Thunder Mountain was having a special for any cars. It was a Sunday race. Any cars that were not a Thunder Mountain regular, there was a bonus for the highest finisher, and then there was like a couple $100 spread out between whoever else showed up. And I was racing the Sportsman for Gary Duncanson at the time. We were racing out of Mike Wilmot's garage. And it was the same deal. I think I broke the rear end in the car on Saturday, and for whatever reasons it was we were going to slam together to get this other car together, the Open Sportsman, because it was a crate that I was running. So we were slamming all night long. I had left. I think we broke the rear in the heat race, and I left and I went right home. I didn't even stick around for like the features or anything like that. Worked on the car till 8 o'clock in the morning. Finally, I was like, I gotta fall asleep. I went and slept in my truck at Wilmot's. Because we kept the cars at Mike Wilmot's place. I slept in my truck for maybe like an hour and a half. And, the other guys there, Phil, Mike's dad, and Mike and Gary, they were down there. They kept working on it while I got a little bit of sleep. And it come to be about pretty close to loading time, and they rained out. So I have my own all-night story about that. I think probably every one of us has done it. So, sorry, Brandon. I didn't mean to make so much
There's 3
funny.
minutes on that route back.
But anyway, yeah. Any of them crazy go-kart stories there, Brandon? Changing motors right before the race?
Well, actually... No, that's the great thing about go-karts is you can change them. I had a motor that was acting up in hot laps, and I got to swap like a brand new one right out of the box, swapped and made the heat race, which they couldn't have been 8-9 minutes apart. But there was like 4 guys. It was like watching NASCAR. I think Doug O'Hara and Brian Mills and me and my dad and who knows who else. Or like everybody's on one motor mount bolt, getting it on, getting oil out, getting the boxes.
It looks like an NHRA. It looks like an NHRA pit stop. Everybody's changing the motor, pulling ahead. Yeah, the old NASCAR engine building contests where they like the entire crew's like they have those spinner wrench things, But I got everything done, but the throttle linkage loosened up, so I had to drive it with my hand on throttle because gas pedal wasn't working. Because you gotta have a linkage.
You gotta loosen that nut that holds the throttle linkage. So I had to reach over, I go out, I fired it up. The car wants to go through it. Everybody else, the heat race is pulling on the track as I'm dumping oil in. So I get the cart on the ground. I fire it up. Thing wants to take off through the pits because it's like 3/4 throttle. I jump on right 2 feet on the brake, trying to keep the thing slowed down through the pits. Pull on the track. I think I was starting on the pole or starting third, something like that. So I'm like both feet on the brake, and then the green flag comes out. I go to hit the gas, and it's not moving. What the heck? Oh, I forgot to reach over, pull the throttle wide open, took my hand out. I was like cruise control, wide open. Just I think I won the heat race too. But that was on the old track at Champion where it was all cinders, and it was the first year for the class. So if you had a cart that's somewhat handled, you had a pretty okay shot.
You could hand throttle.
Yeah, you could hand throttle. Yeah, it's.
So slowing down a little bit from racing, or at least on track racing. One of the things that I was looking up at recently, and I need a new one, is gear bags. Mine's tearing all apart and whatnot, literally falling apart at the seams. So I was kind of curious, Todd, what kind of gear bag did you have? What are you keeping it? What have you looked at as far as the market of gear bags or anything recently?
Yeah, so give a sponsor shout out. Glenn Windsor of Windsor Acres last year signed on at the very beginning of the spring and allowed me to get a new fire suit. If those of you who've seen me at the track, I wore a Craig Terrell Teal Pro Car fire suit for about the first 7 or 8 years of my career because, you know, that was a good $700 or $800 investment. That not that I didn't think safety was a priority, but I knew the suit was in good shape, and at the time, just tires and the other things, the other essentials, I thought, you know, needed attention more than that. And so when Glenn signed on, I thought, you know, now's a good time to represent his company. And Velocita has a great deal out. They did like a Black Friday deal last fall. And I was able to get like a new suit. And when I got a suit from them, it come with a gear bag, you know, as well as shoes and gloves and all that. So shout out to Velocita for, you know, keeping us all safe, and shout out to Windsor Acres.
So that was your fire suit. How about your gear bag? Do you got any like?
Oh, so, I'm sorry. So the gear bag came with the suit. Like that's got my helmet, my shoes.
Okay, so you got the Velocita bag.
Yeah.
How is that set up? Like, is it just like a regular duffel?
Yeah, it's like basically a big gym bag. You know, there's not really compartments or anything, but you can fit your, you know, your helmet and your shoes and suit and all that in there. And yeah, you know, that goes off in the corner and gets cleaned every week, so you look good and look fresh, and most importantly, you can see out of your visor.
Yeah, obviously, your visor is key. I'll buy 1, 2, 3, 4 a year sometimes. Definitely start out with new ones. What about your gear bag, Brandon?
I use a brown paper bag.
Oh, jeez.
I start out. I've got it's just an athletic bag. I always start out the year with, and then by the end of the year, all my stuff's sitting on a shelf in front of my trailer.
So I had a Simpson bag that I've had probably since I was 22, 3, and I've been using that same type of deal as a Velocita. It's a like a regular standard duffel, but like I said, it's all torn and ripped. And I was looking at some of the Simpson bags and some of the designs of the gear bags, and there's not really much in the way of like compartments for bags. Honestly, what I think I found the best is like a sneaker bag. I don't know if you guys have looked at any of them, but a sneaker bag looks like it's pretty decent. It'll fit your helmet and whatnot. I'm looking at trying to get one of them.
Is it like compartmentalized, where it's like
Yeah.
sections and all
Yeah,
that?
it's compartmentalized.
Compartmentalized.
Yeah, I had to say it twice, and I said, you know, I'm going
Todd,
with that. Yeah. Compartmentalized or whatever.
Compartmentalized.
Compartmentalized.
Compartmentalized. So you know,
Is your stuff separated?
Yeah, your stuff is separated. There's dividers.
Yeah.
There's dividers. So it's got like a decent sized spot for your helmet, you know, and they went on. I could probably pull up some pictures of them sometime if anybody wants to see
Maybe
them.
we'll do a gear bag review.
Yeah, I think that's probably
episode
one of these
sometime.
days we should do a gear bag review.
Make Brad feel good about his purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. I bought a sneaker bag, and I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not.
Do we have any questions or anything on there? Anybody talking? Or?
We got some people here on the comments just reminiscing, agreeing about the good old times here. Nothing really, no comments, questions that are anything too crazy here.
We got there fishing for compliments this week?
No, nobody's fishing. We got another 5 minutes or here so before we wrap it up. If anybody's watching along here now, we got some people watching. If you guys got any questions for Todd or Brandon or myself, if you guys want to comment in, we got Brad Fisher. He's watching. A few other people, Mike Wilmot. Ron Diffenbach says going to Hagerstown was fun. Long nights. That was another deal. You know, I think 1 year we had raced Afton on a Thursday night, and it was like a small block race. We raced Afton on a Thursday, went back to the shop, switched the car all over, you know, new body, maintenance to everything, rescaled it, drove down to Hagerstown, raced Oktoberfest. That was always a lot of fun.
What an accomplishment for your father to beat all those guys at the best of the best. You know, just really cool to have somebody from our area go and just whoop on the best that get to drive the dirt modified, you know.
Yeah, that was really cool. Mike Colston did really well down there. A few times that he went, but it was definitely neat to be able to see my dad win down there. It was probably to this day one of his biggest wins ever. So yeah, that was pretty neat. Hagerstown's always good.
See, Dale was trying to have them come back there last spring he was supposed to do something, and the weather didn't cooperate, and I haven't looked at the schedule to see if they're on for this year. But it'd be cool to have them back. I think it's been like 10 years since they've been down to Hagerstown. I've never been there, so probably go down and check it out.
Yeah, I remember watching fair bit of races down there. The spring races, they'd have usually 2 or 3 spring races, and then obviously Oktoberfest was the big one at the end of the year. But Hagerstown was always a really neat track, really fast track, and I think kind of what's one thing that's really neat about those PA tracks versus some of the tracks that we've got here in New York is like they're so big that you could pit, or they did pit in the infield, and you could go and stand basically right on the inside guardrail of the racetrack. It sucks that you guys didn't get to go or haven't been, but man, you could literally stand right there on the guardrail, and guys are hanging their left front like right by your face as it's going by. It's like foam, foam. Guys are like sideways. You got them twisted up in the corner like this, and you could look at their face, as they're going through. That was definitely one of the things that was always cool, going to Hagerstown, like Selinsgrove type deal. As somebody just watching, I wish I could say that I had the opportunity to race there.
So this is like really random, and you know this, Brad, but like I'm a big fan of the sport and a historian, and I like to just see who's been involved. And I can remember looking up old Hagerstown results, and in the early 2000s, Kyle Strickler was a top 5 runner at Hagerstown in a modified, and I never knew he ran a dirt modified. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kyle Strickler, I talked to him once out in Iowa, and I had brought up that I had watched him there and told him who I was and whatnot, and he's like, oh, yeah, I remember that. So, yeah, we got a little bit of a Northeast dirt modified influence in the IMCA or UMP type modified and World of Outlaw late model crowd.
And so, the last time we went to Volusia, the IMCAs, or whatever you want to call them there, they were there just before the modifieds were there in February, and Strickler must have gotten wadded up one night, and he had all of his body panels there, laid off, set up by a tree. They were loaded up and gone. But along with the outer body panels that he left were about 47 beer cans that him and his buddies drank, probably mourning the wreck they had, or the damage or whatever. But I just thought that was cool or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Probably, that's not the way that we racers want to end our nights, but sometimes that's the way it goes, and we all need to drown our sorrows a little bit. And that hopefully some of the viewers had a good time here watching. This is kind of what the winter time's all about. We can, reminisce and have a little bit of fun telling stories, have a beverage or two or something, and focus on what we're going to do for next year and talk about it. So we're running on our hour here, so if there's anybody else, Todd, that you want to plug or say thanks to here before we close out the show?
Yeah, so definitely want to give you guys a plug, and thank you for having me on. I think this is going to be a great exposure for you guys, and I really appreciate the offer to have me come on the show. I just want to plug my guys one more time. I want to thank Chris for letting me house my car at his shop, and my parents, my father, for their support. Definitely got to thank my fiance Morgan. She lets me put countless hours in the shop. I don't get home till 9 or 10 at night. It's probably about 10 o'clock right now, and I got to get up at 5 and go to work. And she's super understanding, and just balancing that, and having her okay with that. It's a big element of success. Like I don't take majority credit for what we accomplished. I look at it like we're a team, and without her, and without my father, and without Chris and my mom, and Josh Mudge and Dwayne Consla, them guys, they're my best friends, and they bust their butt in the car with me at the shop, and I love them, and I tell them all the time how much I appreciate them, and I can't always pay their way in, and they come in and week out, and we had starter issues one time at the track, and Josh and I and Dwayne, we got after it, and got it changed for the heat, and then there was one night at Afton where the right front shock got ripped off the car. We had 30 cars there, and we were able to get in the heat race, able to qualify on 3 shocks, and luckily we had a spring smasher so we could get the car right back to where it was, and it's just a total team effort all the way through, from the time right now we're rebuilding the car to the last race at the beginning of September. So I just want to thank everybody that's on the team, and again, anybody that's looking to team up or do racing one night a week, I'm very interested. If I have to work on the car, do all the work, that's fine. There are possibly some equipment I could supply to help somebody if there's somebody wanting to team up. So just get a hold of me, and hopefully we can do something. And thanks for all the fans and all the promoters and everybody involved in the sport of racing. I love it so much, and I wish more people could enjoy the sport like we do, and like how we grew up involved, and just try to get more people involved in the sport. So, thank you.
Brandon, you want to take us out here?
Yeah, so we just want to thank Todd again for stopping in and seeing us this week. We're working on some stuff for next week so we can get somebody else in here. And got a few different ideas people want to get on the show. Some current racers, some of the old time racers, and some other, maybe some engine builders, some other
some track promoters, possibly.
Track promoters. Anybody that's got some interesting, people other people want to listen to. But if you'd like to get involved, you want to just you want to help us out here. Like I said, we've got advertising available on here. If you want to sponsor a show, we'll do it for real cheap. We got some more equipment we'd like to upgrade. We do plan on taking once the winter's over and we're back to the racing season. We can't do these things very often. We are building up an arsenal of equipment to hopefully do some live broadcasts of some of the racing. I know we plan on the Riverhawk 100, the 10,000 to win go-kart race at Champion Speedway. We are planning on running live for that one. Multiple cameras, maybe do some like pit road reporters and stuff like that. We're gonna have to add some more equipment and stuff like that. But we're just always looking to upgrade, and anything if you want to sponsor us, it's going right back into this. We're not profiting any of it. It's all going right back into improving this winter and this coming spring, the spring, summer, fall racing season. So like I said, it's cheap. Like we'll hook you up for cheap. We'll do what we can to plug you. This week the big one was Iron Ring Studios helped us out here.
Of course, AG Video walked us through. It only took them about 20 minutes. Thankfully, we just lost everything as soon as we went to go live, and he got us back up and going. So it was good. Another shout out to AG Video. Again, apologize for the technical difficulties right at the beginning, but without him, we couldn't have made this happen tonight either. So.
Yep. So going forward, we're planning on probably again next Tuesday night, maybe a little bit later. Brad got me out of bed to come start this at 8:30. I normally sleep in until about 9, but I got to get permission to get over here by 8:30, Brad.
Yeah. Well,
anyway. He posted it's 8:30. Okay, I guess I got to get permission from the wife to escape before 8 o'clock. But yeah, so look. Probably next Tuesday night, we'll be back here with another episode. After that, we're heading into Christmas, New Year's. So I think that week we're going to be we're not going to be on Tuesday night that week. That'll be the day after Christmas. Got a lot of family stuff going on, but look for maybe Thursday or Friday that week. And then following week, I don't think we'll do anything yet. New Year's, day after New Year's. I know I got some stuff I got to do that night. So probably the following week we're back here. But yeah, plan on next Tuesday night. We'll have another show out here for you, and we'll see you then.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. Have a good night.